Hi there, it's Brett Hornby here, and welcome back to my YouTube channel. Question for NHL fans: what do you think is the worst contract in the National Hockey League? Is it Jack Campbell up in Edmonton, Tyler Seguin in Dallas, or how about Marc-Andre Fleury in San Jose? I think none of those contracts come close to, I think, Jonathan Huberdeau with my Calgary Flames. I think that's the new worst contract in the NHL today. I mean, at the time, it did look like we salvaged something when we traded away Matthew Tkachuk to the Florida Panthers. And then we got Jonathan Huberdeau, in addition to Mackenzie Weegar, Cole Schwindt, and a first. And the way how Mackenzie Weegar has looked for the Calgary Flames, also when we signed him to that 8-year deal, right now is not making me say it's the new Doug Gilmour trade. I still think that's the worst trade the Flames made. When we traded Gilmour to the Toronto Maple Leafs, plus we need to know how the first round pick plays out and if Cole Schwindt actually plays with the Flames. He's looked good with the Wranglers. But Jonathan Huberdeau, it's the worst contract in the NHL now. I mean, we did sign him to that 8-year deal that just started this season, may I stress, at $10.5 million. Cap it. I mean, he looked good at the time that we had a star that was coming off a 115-point season, 21-22, to replace another guy named Johnny with O at the end of his name, except we put Huberdeau, said Goodjoe, who also scored 115 points 2 years ago. Essentially, I think that was that same contract that was going to be given to Johnny Goodjoe that when he decided to go to Columbus. But the fact that most of it is tied up in signing bonuses, in addition to the amount that we're paying him, makes this the worst contract in the NHL, and we're essentially stuck with him. I don't know what we could do with Jonathan Huberdeau at this stage. I mean, I thought we were going to hope to have a bounce back season with Jonathan Huberdeau this season, given how he was used or not used under Daryl's system. And then things look better, at least in preseason, with Ryan Huska. But, man, just when you think it can't get any worse, it's getting worse with Jonathan Huberdeau. Because if you look at his numbers right now, if you go to the Elite Prospects website, that's where you could see, current numbers and also projected numbers. But right now, what doesn't look pretty? I mean, essentially, he's been buried. After he was benched at that home game for the whole third period, I think we were playing Nashville. I don't recall if we won that game, but Jonathan Huberdeau was benched that whole period, and he kind of came back. But he's been buried on the third line with Michael Backlund and Blake Coleman. However, those players still seem to be doing all right on the third line. Huberdeau, actually, in the last 10 games, keep in mind that I mentioned we're paying him $10.5 million. Did I mention it US? He hasn't recorded a point in the last 10 games, but a -4. And then last season, he had the drop-off of 60 points. As in 21-22, the last season that he was in Florida, he had 30 goals, 85 assists for 115 points. Last season, in 79 games, that dropped to 15 goals and 40 assists for 55 points. Up to this point, he's played 33 games with the Calgary Flames this season. He has 4 goals. 4. And 11 assists for 15 points. He's on pace. He's played every game to score 10 goals, 27 assists for 37 points. 37! And we're paying this guy $10.5 million. And what makes this contract very, very buyout proof is he has no movement clause. So it's not necessary. You could say, oh, we'll send you down to the Wranglers to maybe find your game, get some season. He has a right to say, I think you can't even do that with a no movement clause, and he could refuse. And even then, he won't get any cap relief. And then he has a say, he has a modified no movement clause in the final 2 years of his contract. 29, 30, 30, 31. His cap hit is $10.5 million. All 8 years, and the first year starts this year. Well, get this. He has $7 million bonus this year, next year, 24-25, and 25-26. $7 million bonus. So he has a happy Canada Day in that day. In 26-27, 27-28, he gets a $9.5 million bonus. Then 28-29, he gets a $7 million bonus. 29-30, he has a $9.5 million bonus. And then 30-31, the last year of his deal, he gets a measly $5 million bonus. So that was the structure of his contract. All on CapFriendly.com. But CapFriendly has a buyout calculator. This is where it's going to get super, super stupid and steep. Let's say after this season, we decide to buy out Jonathan Huberdeau. We won't have much cap savings because of his bonuses will still count against the cap. If we were to buy out Jonathan Huberdeau, you get the 2/3 of the term spread out over twice the term, so he had 7 years left, 14 years. It only would cost $12.67 million in actual salary on the cap. The rest of it's bonus that it's guaranteed. So most of his money is guaranteed. So next year and the year after, so the next 2 years, if we were to buy him out, he would still have $7.9 million of cap space that we can't pursue someone else. And then 26, 27, 27, 28, we would save a measly $95,000. We would have $10.4 million those 2 years. And then in 28, 29, you would still have $7.9 million and change. And then 29, 30, that goes up to $10.4 million. That's if we buy him out. We would still have that on the cap hit. And then 30, 31, we would still have $5.9 million because that year he would still have $5 million in bonuses. And then from 31, 32 until 37, 38, we would have $904,000 in cap hit for 7 years. If we were to buy out Jonathan Huberdeau, so we would be only saving $12.5 million over the next 14 years if we were to buy him out. So that's why this is the worst contract in the NHL. And then even if we were to decide to trade him, I think the current CBA, I think at most you can retain half of his salary. So let's say if we'll eat half his cap hit of $5.2 million. For someone that's on pace for 37 points this season, even at $5.25 million, no one's going to want to take him at that price. Especially when everybody is capped out. Even if we threw in a first round pick and we tell him you can have Zari and Wolf, well, it'd be totally stupid to come up with that package to trade away. Maybe Zona will say, sure, we'll take that, and still pay half his salary. I'm just being hypothetical that it would take something like that and still have to pay half his salary to move him. And I'm with Ryan Pinder on Flames Nation. This is the worst contract in the NHL now. I mean, what can we do with Huberdeau? We tried everything. I mean, he's buried on the third line. And he coughs the puck up too many times. That's why he's a 14 right now. That would be up to minus 35 when I saw that projected this season. And then it's like, I know that in Florida they have a more freewheeling style, and he played with Alexander Barkov. But for $10 million, you expect, still this player to still be a star. And even when Florida was here the other night for the last home game, even the announcers still say that Huberdeau still has the talent. I mean, you can't just suddenly forget to play hockey in the last couple of years. I mean, yeah, it's getting used to a new scenery, new team, new conference. Playing from Florida, Miami, Florida, Sunrise, Florida, to Calgary, Alberta. Yeah, the weather won't be as nice in January and February, and you're in a hockey mad market, but he grew up outside of Montreal. I think you have an idea, even in Montreal, that that's a tough hockey market, and you get it in both languages in Montreal. But, I mean, what do you suggest we do with Huberdeau? We benched him. I mean, at this point, all we could do is healthy scratching him. Here's some more scary numbers, given he has 4 goals. He's a playmaker. But let's listen to players on the Flames right now that have more goals than Jonathan Huberdeau. Right now, as I bring up the Flames app and the stats, when you look at the stats, Igor Sharangovich right now, and I'm going to say he's panning out to be that 25-goal, 50-point player. He leads the team in goals 11. Blake Coleman has 10 goals, surprisingly. And then Nazem Kadri, the leading scorer, he has 8 goals. That's what we expect. Elias Lindholm, we're still disappointed with him, but he has 8 goals. I think he already has 1 foot out the door as an unrestricted free agent. Mackenzie Weegar, he has 8 goals as a defenseman. And Connor Zary, one of our bright spots of the Flames this season, has 7. And I'm going to say the best line for the Flames this season has been Connor Zary with Martin Pospisil and Nazem Kadri. Noah Hanifin, not known for his goal scoring, has 5 goals. He's tied with Rasmus Andersson with 4 goals. He's a defenseman. He mostly collects assists. Michael Backlund, another line mate, he has 7 goals. Known as a checking forward. Andrew Mangiapane, he's starting to try to bounce back after having surgery. He has 6 goals. But here in the Martin Pospisil, tied with Jonathan Huberdeau with 4. But Martin Pospisil, as well as Connor Zary. Connor Zary's only played in 23 games. Martin Pospisil has played in 21. Huberdeau's played 33. AJ Greer. AJ freaking Greer. The player that we picked up from waivers at the start of the year for free from the Boston Bruins. AJ freaking Greer has 6 goals. 6. AJ Greer has 6 goals, 4 assists for 10 points. Jonathan Huberdeau, he's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. He's 11th in scoring on the Flames. I mean, I know that this has been bashing him, and I hear he's a great person. He's great in the community and great everywhere else. But when you're making $10.5 million, you're in a Canadian market, and you're being paid like you're one of the top 10, 15 players in the NHL, and you're 11th in scoring on the Flames, on a team that's having trouble scoring as it is. I mean, you have to take the criticism. I mean, sorry, Jonathan Huberdeau. I will eventually maybe get a jersey or a t-shirt with your name on. Maybe that joke, maybe that family joke will happen. That will trade him and no retained salary, but I'm sorry, Jonathan. You have the worst contract in NHL now. The fact that you're starting first year an 8-year deal how it's structured with the bonuses, we're essentially stuck with you. Hopefully you can find your game, and it sounded like in the off-season you tried to work on your game, mental. I mean, the dilemma is he has been buried on the third line, so he doesn't get as many minutes as the top six. And I'm going to say he has been passed by even Connor Zary and Martin Pospisil. And I'm going to say hopefully Jacob Pelche gets healthy. Should be back within a month, given we're a few days away from Christmas. And Matthew Tkachuk, he's been above a point a game with the Wranglers, and a little season with him wasn't going to kill him, but I think we're going to see Matthew Tkachuk back with the Flames, especially if we were going to trade away all of our restricted free agents so we can have the cap space and room for him. Huberdeau he's been more Huber-don't. I mean, he hasn't scored, I think, since that Vancouver game in late November. Not the game when Nikita Zadorov made his debut with the Flames. But the fact he hasn't got a single point in 10 games is alarming. And there's many times you hear he turns the puck over and it leads to either a penalty we gotta take or a goal behind the net. And the fact that AJ freaking Greer, a fourth line grinder that we picked up for free from Boston, has more goals than Jonathan Huberdeau. I'm perplexed. I mean, the Gilmore trade, when we got Gary Leeman, he must have forgot to pack his goal-scoring ability when he moved to Calgary. Well, Jonathan Huberdeau has forgot his goal-scoring ability in Florida. And I joked, and although I haven't had time, if I see a mall Santa, I asked Santa, what do you want for Christmas? I said, I want Jonathan Huberdeau from 2 years ago, the last years in Florida. I want that Huberdeau. He hasn't looked good in the Flames uniform since he's come here. And I'm going back to Ryan Pinner and Flames Nation. What game has Jonathan Huberdeau made you say, there's the guy? I think the only time I said that's the Huberdeau we want, was the home opener in 2022. The very, very first game. I was at that game when he set up Elias Lindholm. It looked like, how Johnny Gaudreau set him up before we lost Gaudreau to Columbus. Other than that, maybe preseason, getting used to being Ryan Huska. I think he actually had a game that he had 2 goals. Maybe it was that 10-0 drubbing of the Canucks when they had their ECHL team in versus all our veterans. But what do we do? I think we can't just send him to the Wranglers because we get no cap relief. I think there's no movement clause. He could say no. I think the only thing we got to do is let him sit up in the press box at the Dome or wherever we're playing. I mean, we benched him that one period. He's on the third line. I think that's all we can do now. I know another bad contract was Jeff Skinner with the Buffalo Sabres. Even then, they had 1 year, and I could still see potentially maybe Huberdeau will finally find his game and maybe get 1 good year out of his 8-year deal. But essentially, we're stuck with him, like it or not. And it's the worst contract in NHL. You can try to convince me otherwise, but we have the worst contract in NHL. It was the previous regime that signed that deal, structures deal that way. But even if we took half his salary to retain salary and throw in some prospects in the first round pick, I still don't think we would be able to move him. Even that. I mean, what do you think? Is this the worst contract in NHL? What do you suggest for Jonathan Huberdeau? You can leave that in the comment, and then you can tell Ryan Huska. But I'm going to say Ryan Huska's probably tried everything in his power. And Ryan Huska is a smarter hockey guy than myself and anyone else that would potentially comment on what to do with Jonathan Huberdeau. I'm sure he's had his mad scientist his his brain probably has been exploded, and he's probably gone through a few pairs of glasses himself. Right now, it's going to figure out what the heck we do with Huberdeau, and it was guts on him, being a rookie head coach, to bench him. I think we just need to healthy scratch him now. That's all we can do at this stage, or where else can you put him in the lineup at this stage? We're stuck with him. At least he's not, at least he hasn't done anything stupid or off the ice. That'd only be the blessing in disguise, but I don't think Jonathan Huberdeau is going to do anything that's going to destroy his reputation where we can terminate his contract. See Vander Kane or Corey Perry, for example. I don't think he's that kind of person. And he's getting shots the last few games, but until something changes, we have the worst contract in the NHL. That's all I gotta say about Jonathan Huberdeau. Sorry to rat on you, but you're making $10.5 million US per year for the next 8 years. You're in a hockey mad market. You gotta expect that. And actually, there was one proposed trade that it could have looked alright if we would have traded away him to Montreal for, I think it was Brendan Gallagher and Josh Anderson, and it would have been 10.5 going there and 11 million going here. But then if he was doing that in Montreal, I think it'd be even more pressure on him, and he'll get it in both languages with him. Ladies and gentlemen, Gemini still rule. That's all I can say about Jonathan Huberdeau. I hear, he's still a professional, and the other everything else, it's just those points haven't been coming, and we're stuck with them. So anyways, I want to close out and say, if you want to follow along with this Calgary sports fans journey, just make sure you hit like, subscribe. I have my other social media links down in the description below, and hopefully we can see Jonathan Huberdeau finally bounce back. But after playing over 100 plus games as a Flame, I'm losing optimism in that, as well as the future of the economy as well. But at least he's doing well. If he invests his money, he wouldn't have to worry about anything else for the rest of his life. But you're gonna have to take the criticism. Making $10.5 million US, and we're only in year 1 of 8. Worst contract in the NHL. So as I say, thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.